A high-end processor, innovative camera setup, lightweight construction and extra bright display. Is this enough to forgive the retirement of the headphone jack in Poco F6? Let's inspect. Right, I feel that this might be the better value choice even than the Pro Edition this year, and I present you the Poco F6. This is the global name of this smartphone, and I say the global because in China it has been released a few months ago with the name Redmi Turbo 3. And I really like the idea of being turbo because it kind of suggests really fantastic performance, something that we traditionally associate with the Poco F line. And there are quite many changes this year. As a starter, the audio jack is gone, and there's a serious revamp of the camera, but we should expect performance improvements as compared to last year. The overall look and feel of this Poco device is also quite different, I would say in the good way, because it feels super lightweight and thin, and for some countries this is going to be the launch for the brand new Snapdragon 8S Generation 3. So there really are plenty of things to try out. Let's dive into it. You're about to like the price. Obviously not as low as the Redmi Turbo 3 in China, because here you're going to get the entire Google stack of apps plus slightly different and purer form of Android, but still quite attractive. This happens to be the second most expensive Poco phone at the moment, after the F6 Pro, of course, and during the first weeks of availability it's going to be accompanied by discounts. I think a lot of mid-rangers are now under pressure because the F-series are already having quite a good reputation where available for being kind of flagship killers. Unboxing is pretty standard for Xiaomi-made smartphones, color choice as well. Maybe the green edition is the freshest kind of one. The top slim box has the protective case. There are no such kind of goodies with iPhones, Samsung devices, Google Pixels or whatsoever, so enjoy it and use it. Here is the phone, and Poco are reminding us about the most remarkable specs on the folio. We're about to list the rest in just a moment. And something else that usually non-Chinese vendors are skipping, an in-box wall charger. Knowing that it's a GaN type and offering 90 watts of turbo charging, I feel that it is a worthy deal thus far. Construction-wise, you're gonna get positive initial impressions. The device feels well-built, even comes with IP64 splash protection. Not that impressive though. These two big camera bumps and the style remind of the Poco M6, which I have reviewed earlier this year. There are two facts though, which might leave a bitter taste when you hear about them, especially if you enjoy Poco's traditions. No micro SD card slot, which is expected given the fact that last year there was no such feature with the previous generation. The news is that the 3.5mm audio jack didn't make it to the final release. So if you need connectivity to a wired headset or a speaker, just get a basic Type-C to audio adapter. Looking at the specs, there are a few little surprises as well. A brand new high-end system-on-a-chip by Qualcomm, generous amounts of RAM and storage, a stunning 6.67-inch display with 120Hz maximum refresh rate, Gorilla Glass Victus protection, a 50-megapixel main camera and an 8-megapixel ultra-wide shooter, a 5000 mAh battery with 90 watts turbo charging, comes with Android 14 out of the box, and the Poco F6 is going to have several years of software support. Yeah, I already like a lot of things about this smartphone. As a starter, the design, quite interesting, very lightweight, very thin. I think it feels great in the hand, especially if you're not fans of those bulky smartphones. A lot of plastic involved, which is not necessarily a bad thing, because although plastic can scratch easier as compared to glass, for instance, it is much lighter, and if you drop the phone on the ground, it's very unlikely to break. I also like the change of the camera compartment, and this 2-megapixel macro nonsense is gone, hopefully for good, although they keep it with the Pro Edition, which is kind of weird. And still, there's a 50-megapixel main camera. We're going to talk about it in just a few moments. I think the big news around this smartphone is that it is equipped with the Snapdragon 8S Generation 3, something that launches for the first time with the series in certain regions, and we expect really fantastic performance. It should stay on par with the regular Snapdragon 8 Generation 3, however there would be some changes in the area of the GPU, and we're going to find out whether this impacts gaming and other tasks at all. What we expect though is slightly improved battery performance, and the good news is that the Poco F6 retains the same kind of battery capacity as the predecessor, and we can see an upgrade with the display performance. But I really want to go back to the camera topic, because this combo of a 50 megapixel main image sensor and the ultra-wide setup, I'm really curious to find out how far we can push these cameras. Daytime snaps and bingo! Close to accurate colors, good exposure, even some positive signs about dynamic range. It is great to see that Poco and Redmi are finally doing these meaningful changes, getting rid of the marketing gimmicks and improving the main camera, mostly. Since the image sensor is quite new, I do expect that in 6 to 10 months from now, there are going to be some notable improvements through updates. Even as it is now, even in low light, the camera performance is superb. Plus, the camera app has so many great features. I've tried the Google Camera app too, and you can take a look at this modest side-by-side comparison. I guess the colors are somewhat better. You know that the true qualities of a camera are exposed best when it comes to video. One of the things that this Snapdragon cannot do is to record in 8K, but 4K in 60p is more than most people would ever need. In 30 or 24 frames per second, the image quality is even better. Stabilization, despite being optical, is unimpressive though. Here's the selfie camera, 1080p video recording, some sort of stabilization. And now it's your turn to let me know, how does the internal microphone of the Poco F6 feel? We can talk about it in the comments below. The ultra-wide camera is just average. Bright days provide the kind of lighting that it well comes along with. I would avoid using it at dark. If you have to, you can see that the results are not that perfect, kind of the opposites, but with a lot of processing, you may get some acceptable results. The selfie camera is good, and although the image sensor has 20 megapixels, it doesn't provide ability to record in 4K. Not a big deal, but good to know since there are a lot of mid-rangers that can do it. Apparently, the Snapdragon 8S Generation 3 handles the camera tasks really well. Let's check about the overall performance now. Day-to-day tasks are running smoothly, no hiccups, no glitches, no slowdowns. It is a true high-end phone experience, uncompromised speed. Apps load really quickly. I was of course curious about a side-by-side battle with the non-S Snapdragon version, and differences are almost not notable. This edition of the chipset is supposed to be slightly better than last year's best Android SoC and very close to the performance of this year's top one. It is a spot on. Theoretically, could be that gaming might be slightly impacted in the negative way because the GPU is not as powerful as the one inside Galaxy S24, for instance. And still, gaming is a true pleasure. There is no title that would be a challenge for this phone. Artificial benchmarks are matching these expectations. I was mostly interested in the throttling test, and it is a very positive achievement. Combined with a great audio experience in the adorable display, multimedia is also well covered. If you care about maximum brightness, Poco F6 won't disappoint. Many of the remaining features are standard for Xiaomi-made phones. There's an infrared blaster, a whole lot of current wireless communication standards. What stands out traditionally is the fast charging. Here, it is as fast as what you'd get out of the 3 times more expensive Xiaomi 14. We have no wireless charging though. Battery consumption looks good. It's gonna last through the day if you're careful with the amount and the type of apps being used. The softer side is HyperOS. That's Android 14 at launch. It's not exactly MIUI, although pretty close, and has a bunch of customization options. You can tune the sounds, the colors, the themes, almost everything. Perhaps some of these many extras are overkill, but it is always good to have as many customization features as possible. Poco promised 3 major Android updates and maybe even longer security patch timeframe, which is good. Just keep in mind that everything here is far from the stock Android feeling, but Xiaomi wouldn't mind if you decide to go for custom ROMs, because unlocking the bootloader and flashing such one is not going to void your warranty, and that's a really nice feature. So, are there things that are not that nice, you may ask? And I feel that I can outline a few notable drawbacks. There is no wireless charging, the camera performance is rather average, there is no good macro mode, the speaker quality is not amazing, we no longer count on a 3.5 audio jack, and the USB port, it's USB 2.0 in terms of specs. I guess it's quite clear what I'm going to say in terms of conclusion, because I really enjoyed using this smartphone during the time of testing, and it's been, in many ways spectacular. It has the typical Poco F series DNA, and it's true, when you look at the design, plastic frame, unimpressive, nothing that you're going to remember very clearly or nothing that stands out. But when it comes to the performance, to the camera setup, to the daily tasks handling, even the battery life, I think they're far better than what most people would expect from this kind of price point, and especially as compared to the Pro Edition, I think this might be the better, the more practical choice for a smartphone, because at a slightly lower price, you get pretty much the same kind of pack. Now, who is this smartphone for? I would say for people who don't really need extraordinary great outlook, but are really interested in great performance and long-lasting battery and many years of software support. If you already have the Poco F5 or the F5 Pro, maybe you don't really need to upgrade. If you have the F4 or some of the former generations, then this is going to be a significant speed bump. Plus, you're going to get some extra years of software support, which from 2024 standards sounds like a big deal, and I can certainly recommend it as being an excellent practical choice for a great performing smartphone in 2024. And if you're on the hunt for such one, this should be really high in your priority list. And that's my take on the Poco F6, and now it's you in the comment section below the video. Let me know, how do you feel about the F6 or the Redmi Turbo 3 as it is in China? Do you feel that the price bump is well justified? Do you think this is the more practical choices compared to the Poco F6 Pro, and which one of both would you prefer and why? Now, comments are down below. As usual, more information about the product, some ways to order the device, and to support my work here on the channel, you're gonna find in the video description area. I invite you to subscribe, it comes for free, and if you want to support me even more, maybe you can become a channel member. And thank you very much for watching this episode. Bye!